I love the Kanto region, but I think at this point in my life, I've used every combination of Pokemon it has to offer. So I asked myself, what would a Pokemon FireRed playthrough look like if Generation 1 Pokemon were banned? So today, we're going to do a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon FireRed, where the first 151 Pokemon are barred from use. Hardcore Nuzlocke rules are in the description below, but if you need a quick recap, here they are. We start our journey off as any OG Pokemon Master would, swiping the free potion from the PC of course. We then head north to encounter Professor Oak, who brings us to his lab to choose a starter. To accomplish the no Kanto Pokemon run, I've randomized all wild encounters and starters, as this run would be otherwise impossible without that. Our starter choices are Tropius, Gengar, and Grovyle. I don't know if I've ever nailed that pronunciation down. As Gengar is banned, that cuts our choices down to 2. I decided to go for Tropius, as I've never used it in a run and it felt like the wildcard option, and we name him Nanners. We defeat our rival pretty easily, as we end up with a type advantage against his Grovel. We bang through all the intro errands and get to our first encounter, a Marill. We catch it and name it Yeah Boy. Get it? Cause its tail is a buoy. Our next encounter is a Hoot. We weaken it with Gust and... Man. We look for redemption on Route 2 and manage to find and catch a Makuhita we nicknamed Bulky Roll. The team is looking pretty good so far. A calm-natured Tropius, a brave-natured Marill with huge power, and an impish-natured Makuhita. We grind up and win the optional rival fight easily. We head into Viridian Forest, where we encounter a Wooper we catch and nickname Yoongi. It has a calm nature and the ability Damp, which is so helpful in Nuzlocks for avoiding random self-destructs and explosions. You know what else is so helpful to me? Liking the video and subscribing to my channel. I'm really trying to flesh this thing out, and any support is so helpful. Thanks! We make our way through Viridian Forest, even meeting a Caterpie terrible at hacking, and make it to Pewter City. We meet a guy who tells us about the moon landing. I always found it weird when the Pokemon games imply they take place in our universe. Like when they say Raichu can kill an Indian elephant. This is my multiverse of madness. Anyway, we're feeling pretty confident about battling Brock with our multiple type advantages, so we head on over to challenge him.
I got a rock.
I didn't even grind a level cap. That's how confident I felt about beating Brock. After receiving the Boulder Badge and getting cancelled by every trainer on Route 3, we find our next encounter, an Electrike we nicknamed Zip Zap Zop. It has a quirky nature and the Lightning Rod ability. We battle our way through Mount Moon, catching a Spinnerack in the process. And can we talk about how the Team Rocket grunts are way too forthright about being criminals? Beat it, kid, we're doing crimes! Our next encounter is on Route 4, a Totodile we nicknamed Gatorade. Yeah Boy evolves into Azumarill, our channel mascot, and we're ambushed by our rival in Cerulean City. We give him the old defense curl rollout combo and mow his whole team down. On Nugget Bridge, while facing a trainer's Nidoran, we forget they get Peck and lose Bulky Roll the Makuhita, our first death of the run. Rest in peace, you little sandwich bun. We replace him with Gatorade the Totodile, who quickly evolves into a Croconaw. We help Bill get his cells separated from a Pokemon. He comes out of it fine, and wait, where's the Pokemon? Should the Clefairy come out of the other pod? What happened to the Pokemon? Down on Route 5, we snag a Duzcull we nicknamed Khonshu, as I had just watched Marvel's Moon Knight. We add him to the party, bashful nature, not bad. Yoongi the Wooper also evolves into a Quagsire, very exciting for our little guy. While looking for more encounters, we make it all the way to Diglett's Cave, where we encounter a level 29 Dragonair. We try to run, and it one-shots poor Duskull before it even gets a chance to shine. Rip King. We find a wild Shedinja soon after, and name it Swayze, quickly replacing our fallen ghost type. We also catch its pre-evolution Nincada, which we nicknamed Suki. We finally head on over to Battle Misty. Thanks to Nanners the Tropius, we get another easy gym badge. We meet a global police agent on the SS Hand looking for Team Rocket. Bro, I met them and they bragged to me about their crimes. You're just a bad detective. Maybe he should arrest this guy who says, I like feisty kids like you. Our rival challenges us before meeting the SS Hand captain. We defeat his Pidgeotto easily with Electrike and swap to Shedinja, as his Raticate has no moves that can hit it. Our rival actually switches in his Gravioli though, and kills Shedinja with a pursuit. Sorry pal, I should have thought of that. I can't keep a ghost type alive this run. We sweep the rest of his team with Tropius. We replace Shedinja with his sister Suki, who quickly evolves into a Ninjask. We head over to the Vermilion Gym and challenge Lieutenant Surge, who we utterly sweep with Yoongi the Quagsire. Seriously, the Kanto Gym leaders are so easy to sweep with the right Pokemon. We pop on over to Route 2 to get the Flash HM, but Oak's aide tells us we've registered no Pokemon into the Pokedex and he cannot give us the HM. I guess catching no Kanto Pokemon does have some consequences. So we find ourselves in the darkness of Rock Tunnel. We catch a Natu we nickname Vision and proceed to feel our way through the rest of the tunnel. We get cancelled one more time before emerging from the darkness. We pass through Lavender Town and head to Route 8, where we encounter and catch a Bagon. So hype. We nickname him Want to Be Fly. We make it to Celadon City and catch a Shuppet to the west on Route 16, naming him Majin Buu. Vision the Natu evolves into Xatu, and Zip Zap Zop the Electrike evolves into Manectric, back to back. We were ready to take on the next gym leader, Erica. She leads with Victory Bell, and I send in Vision the Xatu. We start with Peck, doing a little less than half, and get paralyzed by Stun Spore. Our ability Synchronize activates, sharing our status condition with the enemy. We go for another Peck as Victory Bell goes for Acid, dropping our defense. Erica uses a Hyper Potion, and we continue to peck away. Victory Bell gets us down pretty low, but we decide to risk it and keep pecking. It goes for Acid, and we manage to live with only 6 HP. We swap into Suki, the newly evolved Ninjask, and finish Victory Bell off. She sends in Tangela, and we decide to use Fury Cutter. It doesn't do much, but Fury Cutter's power increases every time you use it, so we stick at it, battling through the poisoning, and eventually finish it off. Her last Pokemon is Vileplume. We swap into Manectric and paralyze it with Thunder Wave, but she immediately uses a full heal. We have to go for another Thunder Wave and get paralyzed ourselves by Vileplume's Stun Spore. Our HP gets down pretty low, and we're forced to swap to Tropius, who we had been keeping in the back for fear of poison type attacks. We go for Gust, and luckily Vileplume stays fully paralyzed. We go for one more Gust and get a crit, finishing off Erica's team once and for all, our first genuine challenge of the run. We swap the team around a bit, evolving Bagon into Shelgon. We head down to the secret Team Rocket HQ, smoke through all the grunts, and make our way to Giovanni. He sends in Onix first, and we send in Shuppet. We trade blows, Rock Throws, and Nightshades, and we get Onix down to a sliver. He swaps to Kangaskhan, who is immune to our ghost type attacks, forcing us to switch to Yoongi the Quagsire. We take a Tail Whip and then a Mega Punch back to back, losing about half our health. We return the favor with a Brick Break, doing less than I prefer. We take one more Mega Punch and live on just 1 HP. We land a Dig, but definitely need to switch. We swap to Manectric to paralyze it, then Tropius to finish off the rest of his party. Phew. We grab the Psychic TM in Saffron to turn Vision into a killing machine. We head back to Lavender Town to battle through the Pokemon Tower. We run into our rival, and wait, is he upset he can't kill our Pokemon? Maybe the fan theory that the player character killed his Raticate is true. Our wild Pokemon encounter here is Illumise, who I recently actually learned how to pronounce, as opposed to Grovipolioli, Grappling Hook. Too bad there weren't any good Pokemon here. Hey, wait. Dang it! We finish off the Pokemon Tower and receive the Pokeflute. At this point in Fire Red, both the next 2 gym leaders have the same highest leveled Pokemon. The level cap is going to be stuck at 43 for a while, so we decide to do everything we possibly can before we challenge Koga and Sabrina back to back. We spend this time battling every single trainer we can find, grinding up and gaining EVs to become more powerful, blowing cool encounters until finally catching a great one. We grab the Surf HM in the Safari Zone, smoke every other trainer on Cycling Road, and eventually make it to Silphco, a corporation that Team Rocket has taken over. We battle our way through countless Team Rocket grunts, and a juggler for some reason? Why do Pokemon games always classify jugglers as evil? We also battle the scientist that isn't even Team Rocket, just a Sylph employee mad he's being transferred to Russia? Anyway, we make it to Giovanni once again, and have a significantly easier time with this battle. We even get a chance to test out Nashville, our newly evolved Blaziken. We defeat him, and finally travel back to Fuchsia City to take on the Poison-type gym leader Koga.
Ow.
Oh my god.
It was time for a real challenge, the Psychic-type gym leader Sabrina. She leads with Kadabra, and I send in Yugi the Quagsire. We start off with an Amnesia in an attempt to tank all of her special attacks. We take Kadabra out with an Earthquake, but not before it could set up a Reflect, increasing its entire team's defense. Next is Mr. Mime, who sets up barrier after barrier, further boosting its defense. Luckily, our Quagsire is a mixed attacker and can switch to the special attack Surf. Her plan not working, Sabrina swaps to Venomoth, who also goes down to Quagsire, Mr. Mime following shortly after. Her ace is Alakazam, who begins setting up with Calm Mind. We use Earthquake, and it just barely lives with a sliver of health. She heals up as we Earthquake again, finishing it off in one shot this time. The 6th badge was ours. We surf on down to Cinnabar Island to take on the 7th gym, not before locating the key to the place in the Pokemon Mansion. The place is crawling with self-destructing coughings and wheezings, so we evolve Majin Buu the Shuppet into Banette to help us out. We manage to find the key and head on over to challenge Blaine, the Fire-type gym leader. He sends in Growlithe and we lead with Shelgon to eat the Intimidate. We finish it off with some Dragon Breaths, and he brings in Ponyta next. We get it down to a sliver of HP with Dragon Breaths, but it lives and Blaine heals up. We're eventually forced to switch and bring in Nashville the Blaziken. We defeat Ponyta with a Brick Break, and its Papa Rapidash comes in. We make quick work of this horse as well, and Blaine brings in his ace, Arcanine. We take an Intimidate, dropping our attack. We try to fight, but we aren't doing much damage, so we swap to our boy Quagsire, who gets burned, but manages to win the battle with an Earthquake. We leave the gym and get swept away to the Sevi Islands, which I 100% forgot about. Our time here is actually pretty forgettable. We fend off a biker gang and... Rip Vision. I'm a big Xatu fan, so this hurt. We add Nanners the Tropius back to the party and fight off a Hypno that kidnapped a kid. We're finally allowed to go back to the mainland and head right over to Viridian Gym, where we can challenge Giovanni for the final time. Shelgon finally evolves into Salamence right before the battle, incredibly clutch of him, giving us another counter against Giovanni's ground-type Pokemon, which we need, as this final battle with Giovanni will be the hardest one yet.
Sploosh! Whoa, hey!
With our final badge in hand, we were off to challenge the Pokemon League. On our way, we're ambushed by our rival, which I absolutely forgot about. We take care of his Pidgeot, Rhyhorn, and Execute pretty easily. I don't know why his team isn't fully evolved at this point. We one-shot Alakazam, but not without taking a Future Sight a few turns later, Banette barely surviving it. We whittle down his fully evolved starter Sceptile with Tropius' Aerial Aces, and do the same to Gyarados, but with Magical Leaves. Victory Road itself is a bit uneventful. We grind our way through and manage to reach Indigo Plateau, home of the Kanto Pokemon League. We get our affairs in order, spending the rest of our money on TMs at Celadon Game Corner, such as Ice Beam for Quagsire and Shadow Ball for Banette. We load our party up with strategically placed berries and head in for our first battle against Lorelei, who I think is an Ice-type trainer? Hard to say. She leads Dugong, and I send in Zip Zap Zop the Manectric. We barely miss one-shotting it with a Thunderbolt, allowing it to get a Hail off. Lorelei uses one of her full restores, while we go for another Thunderbolt, getting the one-shot this time. Her next Pokemon is Cloyster, who we also one-shot with a Thunderbolt. We Zip Zap Zop her Slowbro after Hail damage, and try the same on her next Pokemon, Lapras. It lives the hit, but gets paralyzed. She gets us quite low with an Ice Beam, but we decide to stay in, and finish the job off with one more Thunderbolt. Her next Pokemon is Jinx, and Manectric has done just about all he can. We switch to Nashville the Blaziken, as this Jinx has no psychic moves. We tank an Ice Punch and then hit it with a Flamethrower, it just barely living with a sliver of health. It goes for a Lovely Kiss like I prepared for, but I mix it up with Sweet Kiss and give Blaziken a Confusion Curing Berry instead of a Sleep Curing one. Night-night we go, allowing Lorelei a turn to heal up her Jinx. We luckily don't take too long to wake up, but Jinx manages to freeze us with an Ice Punch. We try to stay in, but using a Fire-type move doesn't thaw you out in this game. We're forced to swap to Yoongi the Quagsire, who gets Lovely Kiss, but luckily has the right berry this time, and is immediately woken up. Our boy finishes the job off with Earthquake. Our next adversary is Bruno, the Fighting-type Elite Four. Once again, a pretty loose definition in Kanto. He leads with Onix, who we wash away with a Surf from Quagsire, not before tanking an Earthquake. His next Pokemon is another Onix, who we rinse and repeat. He brings in Hitmonchan next, and as it mostly has Fighting-type moves, we decide to switch to Majin Buu the Banette for that sweet, sweet immunity. We get a free switch in and defeat Hitmonchan with 2 Shadow Balls, not before taking some Rock Tombs with a speed drop from each. Bruno sends in Machamp next. He begins setting up with Bulk Up, but we hit him with a Will-O-Wisp burn to stop that. Machamp keeps using Bulk Up though, and with his defense up and Ghost type doing exclusively physical damage this gen, we're barely making a dent. One more Rock Tomb and Majin Buu goes down. Rip to our spookiest boy. We send out Salamence to weaken Machamp with an Intimidate, and finish it off with a Fly and burn damage. His last Pokemon Hitmonlee goes down with 1 Fly from Salamence. 2 Elite Four members down. Mourning our first loss of the Pokemon League, we press on and challenge Agatha, the Ghost-type Elite Four. We lead with Want to Be Fly the Salamence to weaken her Gengar with an Intimidate. We score a lucky critical hit on a Dragon Claw and one-shot it. Her next Pokemon is Golbat, and we swap in Zip Zap Zop the Manectric to resist its flying-type attacks. We one-shot it with a Thunderbolt, and she sends an Arbok, not a Ghost-type. None of you are following your theme. We swap to Yoongi the Quagsire, and take a Screech, Sludge Bomb, and Poisoning before we can one-shot it with an Earthquake. She sends in Haunter, and we swap out our weakened Quagsire for Nashville the Blaziken. Haunter goes for Curse, allowing us to take it out with Flamethrower even easier. Her final Pokemon is Gengar, and with that Curse still in play, we're going to be forced to switch. We send in Salamence to intimidate this Gengar as well, and luckily dodge a Hypnosis. We do about half with the Dragon Claw, and manage to dodge a second Hypnosis. It heals with its Citrus Berry, allowing it to live our next Dragon Claw. It finally manages to land a Hypnosis, putting us to sleep. We're forced to switch to Manectric. Agatha heals up, but 2 Thunderbolts and another missed Hypnosis allow us to finish off Agatha's team for good. The last member of the Elite Four is Lance, the Dragon-type trainer. He leads with Gyarados, and I send in Manectric. We go right for a Thunderbolt and easily one-shot. Next up is one of his Dragonairs. We swap to Quagsire as Dragonair goes for Safeguard. We take an Outrage that deals only about a quarter of our HP and go for Ice Beam. We bring it down below half and repeat on the next turn, taking out the first Dragonair. Lance sends in another Dragonair as Quagsire consumes its Citrus Berry. We keep up the same Outrage Ice Beam back and forth, but then Dragonair scores a crit, taking out Yoongi the Quagsire. Probably the MVP of this run. Rip, pal. We swap in Blaziken as Dragonair succumbs to confusion due to Outrage. We take out Dragonair with a Slash, and Lance sends in Aerodactyl. We swap to Manectric and tank a Wing Attack. After an Ancient Power, we one-shot Aerodactyl with a Thunderbolt. Lance's final Pokemon is his ace, Dragonite. We decide to stay in and paralyze it with Thunder Wave, and luckily that leaves it immobile this turn. We consider switching, but I have no safe options, so we give Manectric a fighting chance. We take out about a third of Dragonite's HP before succumbing to an Outrage. Another OG lost. Sorry, buddy. Knowing we'll outspeed due to paralysis, we swap to Salamence and finish off Lance's team with a Dragon Claw. Things are looking bleak going into the champion. We're down to 3 Pokemon, one of them being Tropius, who was excellent early game, but has begun to lag behind power-wise. Our rival Giles leads with Pidgeot, and we send in Salamence, lowering the enemy's attack with Intimidate. A Dragon Claw does about half as we tank an Aerial Ace. We go for another Dragon Claw, and Pidgeot manages to stay alive. Our rival uses one of his full restores, which I guess is better used on Pidgeot than one of his stronger Pokemon. 2 more Dragon Claws finishes off Pidgeot, and our rival sends in Gyarados. We take an Intimidate and decide to swap to Nanners the Tropius to mitigate that. He goes for a few Dragon Rages, which is a killer early game, but now not so much. We go for Giga Drains, doing damage as well as healing ourselves, as Gyarados switches moves to Thrash, doing a lot more damage. Things aren't looking good until Tropius gets a critical hit and Gyarados succumbs to confusion. It breaks through though to get us down to the red, but another crit finishes off Gyarados. His next Pokemon is Rhydon, who is quadruple weak against grass, so it goes down in one shot to a Giga Drain, which heals a huge amount of HP. I almost didn't bring Tropius into the league, and I'm feeling very grateful I did. His next Pokemon is Alakazam, and we're definitely outsped here. Tropius goes down in a blaze of glory. Thanks, old pal. With only 2 Pokemon left, I send in Salamence to finish off Alakazam with a Crunch. Our rival's next Pokemon is Exeggutor, who sets up a Light Screen, barely living a fly and putting us to sleep with Sleep Powder. Our Lumberry activates though, and wakes up Salamence. Our rival heals up and we go for Crunch, doing a lot less than expected. We go for a Fly and finish off Exeggutor. Our rival's final Pokemon is his starter, Sceptile. He tries to defend with Detect, but we go for a 2-turn Fly and... Thanks for watching. This was a super fun run to do. It was awesome seeing all these Pokemon shine in a region they aren't normally featured. Like the video and subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. Until next time.